Drum roll.
All right, let's see if we're on here.
Hey!
Hello. Hopefully everybody can see us. Waiting to make sure we showed up here. Ah, there we are. Yay. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome our Snap Packers. Snap Pack Live. I'm here with one of my very favorite people that I started watching on Snapchat, the one, the only, Miss Marki, who is going to talk to us about building a remarkable brand and also how she really became a global speaker. Because I know a lot of you have been asking, you know, how do I up my game? How do I create a powerful personal brand? How do I become, you know, more well-known as a thought leader? So Marki, go ahead and give us a quick intro, and thank you for being on today, and we're going to dive right into our questions.
So my name is Marki Lemons-Ryhal. I am a social media speaker and Facebook Live host. I specialize in the world of real estate because I'm also a licensed managing broker in the state of Illinois and a licensed broker in the state of Indiana. Plus, I am a realtor member. And I've been in education now for 24 years.
Oh my gosh, wow. That's incredible. Yeah, no, I see you jet setting, although it probably doesn't feel like that. It's hard work, but I see you in a different place. It seems like multiple times a week. So I know you're definitely hustling out there and doing a lot of travel in the meantime. So all right, well, hopefully people will be joining in and commenting. You can drop them here. We can put them up on the screen, and hopefully everybody can see us and hear us. If you can't, let us know. But we're going to dive right in. So we've got some questions about establishing yourself as a thought leader in the industry. The first question that everybody wants to know about is, how did you get started speaking?
Okay, well, I started off in education in 1993 working for the Chicago public school system. And I was earning my master's degree in business administration. So when I earned my MBA in 96, I started to teach on the collegiate level. However, I instantly realized that I had no real life work experience. And I said, oh, I probably am too young to do this. I need to come back to this when I'm 40. And so life went on. I went back into the family business. My family owns Chicago's oldest barbecue restaurants. We've been in business since 1954. And in 99, my father's sister sued me for the trademark right because I owned it, and I came into the world of real estate. So fast forward, in 2006, my mentor made a recommendation when I was going out for the board of directors for the Chicago Association of Realtors. And he said, baby Dow, you need to become a licensed real estate instructor. And so my speaking career actually started as an instructor. And
Okay.
I want to take it back just one step. I came into the world of real estate from the lending side of the business. And the reason I ended up on the brokerage side is because of the numbers. The numbers told me I could make as much money doing less work because I could do fewer transactions. I've always followed the money. I always set annual goals. So the reason I took a step back to just let you know that when it came to being a licensed real estate instructor, I've always looked at how to make more money. My goal is to work the fewest hours, earning the most amount of money per hour. And so I started off as an instructor, and then I realized you make more money if you call yourself a trainer. And then I realized you make more money if you call yourself a speaker. And so my title basically changed, but I feel as though I do the same identical thing.
Mm-hmm. So you definitely would say marketing had something to do with that.
Oh, you know
gotta
what?
market yourself for what you want. Whatever position you want to be, you got to kind of market yourself in that position.
Yes, and my speaking career and how I gained, I would call it instant popularity, is due to the fact that I had an email address, which was the foreclosure queen at Comcast. And at the time, this was 2006, and foreclosures and short sales had just started. And
Yes, I remember. I remember.
yeah, and instantly, I'm in articles calling me the foreclosure queen. And so something as simple as an email address can catch on.
Mm-hmm. That's a great story, yeah, because you just never know. And I'm sure when you were creating that email address, you weren't even thinking that that was going to happen. So,
No.
yeah, that's incredible. Okay, so you have such a recognizable brand, and when people say it's like Cher or Madonna. When people say Marki, they know which Marki we're talking about in this industry. And a lot of our people in our community are always asking us, how do I build my brand? I don't know what to do, where to start. And I think they have this idea that it has to be this pretty little package that's delivered to them, and they should know exactly what their brand should be. So talk a little bit about how your brand started and how you learned how to evolve into where you are today.
Well, I would say it's twofold. So one, I have an advanced degree in marketing, and I taught that on a collegiate level. So I understood the foundation of marketing. When I was in the barbecue business, I was very successful. I increased our sales for one of our stores by 54% in 12 months. One thing is, I know it's not about me ever. It's always about the client. What does the client need and want? And we always have to talk to their pain point. So if I was to go back, 20 years ago when I was in the restaurant business, it was all about family tradition, how many generations. And that's what I preached because we had something no one else had. When I came into real estate, it was all about down payment assistance, buying a house with no money down. And I was able to capture 10% of market share. So I was in the top 10% of realtors in the city of Chicago my first full year as a broker because I knew who my clients were and I talked to them about what they needed and wanted.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. So you really kind of discovered their pain point and you started talking to them about how you could help them solve that problem. They may not have even knew that they had. And then, but how did you feel confident in marketing yourself, or how did you become a brand? Did it sort of just evolve as you started getting more visible? And did people tell you kind of what your brand was because they could feel, who you were, and they're like, oh gosh, you're great at building brands. You're the brand person, and you're great at social media, and you're the social media person. So I just want people to know that sometimes it's okay if your brand evolves as you go along.
And so when I think about what my brand was initially, I was the queen of foreclosures. And when I think about how that came about, my husband drove me from Chicago up to Appleton, Wisconsin during a blizzard. I was 9 months pregnant. He told me repeatedly, I could turn around and go home. I said, no, you better not turn around and go home. I need to earn it wasn't even the SFR at the time. It was just the new short sale foreclosure course from the National Association of Realtors. I knew that foreclosures were getting ready to take over our market because of all the reports I was reading. At that same time, I was reading the 2006 profile of buyers and sellers, and it told me that in 1995, 2% of buyers came to the internet first, and that the year I was reading the report, the number was 80%. And so one way that I've built a brand is that I'm always niched. I always do what other people don't do. I'm always willing to try what others might not try, or it might not be popular at that time. And
I think that is so key because when you try to do everything, foreclosures, luxury homes, rentals, it just never works. I feel like it's super authentic and genuine when you have that niche, because what people don't understand, and tell me if you agree with this, is that people are afraid to niche too small, right? But once you niche down small and you master it, that lends itself to going out and growing, once you've mastered that area. Do you agree?
I 100% agree. I tell people my money was funny and I was short on time, but at the moment that I niched, my money got right and I have plenty of time. And so a lot of people, the concept that you can be all things to all people, it's not real. That's not a real concept. And I talk especially to the women that are out there because we're mothers, we're juggling, and our husbands and our children at home, they don't really appreciate all the hard work we do. What they want to know is what's for dinner and where are my socks. And so with that being said, the more niche I become, the more money I make. I am able to isolate myself, from everybody else who's offering everything else. And what I'm going to say is when I'm talking to education directors, which is generally the title of the person who will hire me, one, they want someone who's passionate. And two, they don't want to see the fact that you do everything because it means you haven't mastered, not that you're not good, but you haven't mastered that one subject. So don't get me wrong. I used to teach it all. I taught the SRS, the ABR, the CRB, the negotiating class. I was a green instructor. I earned the green SRES, pre-licensed instructor. I've had the opportunity to do all of that. And I was stretched too thin. I wasn't able to keep up with all the subjects. So I was good and I was getting good reviews, but I didn't feel excellent when I walked out the door. And now I know that I own my space and I'm bringing the most current information to the classroom because one, I'm being compensated enough money that it allows me the time to consistently research and study the subject.
That's exactly right. Michelle, who just commented, she is in Florida and she's very niche. And we talk about this all the time. And she's done an incredible job of really niching out her area. So, okay, the big question is you started teaching, you started talking, you became an instructor, but how do you take it to the next level? How do you get to a stage like Inman? How do you get to a stage like that? I mean, I know that's a lot of layers and work, but kind of talk us through the process of how you did it and how you would guide other people to do so.
I tell people this and they don't believe it. You need to volunteer in the area you want to specialize in because it brings you free publicity. Mm-hmm. And so I have volunteered in real estate a lot since 2006. I have served my local and my state association in every capacity that I desire to serve them in. And I tell people when you want to go into a new community, a new subject, you need to find a organization that stands out in that area or that subject and give of your time freely and give the best of yourself. Because what it will do is if they need someone, if they call the Chicago Association of Realtors during the time that we were doing foreclosures and short sales, they were going to refer Marki Lemons, who was sitting on the board of directors. I look at the last 3 months, I've been featured in Chicago Realtor Magazine, Illinois Realtor Magazine. I was the guest editor of Realtor Magazine that just came out yesterday. I've been in green. I think I had an interview the other day with ASI and CRB. Well, that is because I volunteer my time. And so you can't pay for that type of publicity. You would really need to hire a PR company to come and do that for you. So I would say volunteering goes a very long way, plus the people you're networking with as the result of volunteering.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. The next thing, and this is one of those things, my pet peeves, a lot of people who are in sales talk about if you can't sell, teach. No, I have to sell myself. I am consistently selling myself to people who hire people to do what I do. I have direct mail campaigns. I have email marketing campaigns. And so I'm consistently in front of them. And the way I come to them is also from contribution. Yes, I want you to hire me, but what I do know, no one is going to hire me for every single event because people want variety. So even though I could go, I just came back from, Century 21. I was at 121 in Las Vegas. My reviews were freaking awesome. They're not going to have me at the next conference. I might get the conference after the next conference, But what I
Mhm.
want to do is be of service to their ed director, giving her tips and tools that will help not only her, but also any other instructor that she decides to hire.
Right. That's brilliant. Okay. So what about, do you recommend that people get, I mean, should they have a speaker reel? Do they need to have like videos of them that they can send? I mean, like what people get overwhelmed by thinking, oh, I don't have a professional speaker reel. I don't have a professional website. What do you tell those people to kind of get started? Is that a must, or is it a nice to have, or is it start this and then as you can get that going, do that?
I would say you're probably going to get hired more just from networking than
Mm-hmm.
all of the glossy, pretty things. Um, and by having a positive attitude and being of service. And so my very first job inside of the world of real estate education, my mentor referred me because he had been an instructor there for years, and he said, give her a chance. And I would honestly say that's really how things started. It was based on referral. The next thing is Rapid, which is a real estate summit. It's in Wichita, Kansas. That gave me some exposure. If a real estate speakers bureau is willing to take you on, then I would definitely say speak to them to see if they would take you on. So I just started working for a speakers bureau. It's been about 13 months now. But prior to that, I was doing everything on my own. But the volunteer, the referrals, and then think about the website, think about everything else. You really want to have current, great content. And so I would probably advise that you take a course in instructional design, because what are you going to present?
Mm-hmm. Right. And the format and how everything is, you have to be able to communicate in a way that captures people's attention and is in a thought out process that people can understand. Not everybody has your amazing personality or energy level, but you know, you can work on that. So it sounds like to me the key is really networking your face off to find the people that will put in a good word for you, that will give you a chance, and focusing on, kind of being a practitioner. Like you said, you know your stuff and you don't need to know everything. You know the one or two or three things that you love to talk about and you are on it. So niching down, being a practitioner of that niche, and going everywhere, talking to everyone, and networking. Those are all free. You don't have to put any money into those. And then once you kind of get some exposure and you'll meet more people through there, then you can think about, doing the speaker reel and all of those types of things. And you're right. It really is about how can I help you, and giving, just like we do to our clients. It's the same process for getting involved with companies, because all companies and corporations are very leery of people who are going to ask them for something, and how you build that relationship and prove to them who you are and that you are there to help.
And I would probably say follow up is key. Let me see, 2 years ago, I was a speaker in Colorado, and I am adamant about scanning business cards and following up, and I use Evernote to do it. And as a result of speaking at the Colorado Association of Realtors, I ended up booking what was called the Mountain Tour, which consisted of Vail, Aspen, Summit, and Grand Junction. Well, this spring, I'm going back to Grand Junction and to Vail as the result, but it was all about the follow-up. And so when I'm speaking, either I'm using a lead digits or a lead capture form, and I want to scan your business card. And so I am connecting. They're going to get something from me that will be non-salesy after the fact.
So you are contacting the attendees and the people that are putting the event on. Is that right?
Right, because think of this, the attendees are also going to be all of the volunteers as well. And so if they like you, and let's say they're the education chair for the local real estate association or for the state association, then they will say, oh, I saw so-and-so. I think that person would make an ideal speaker for this program. Let's reach out to them.
Perfect. I love that idea. Okay, and you mentioned lead digits. So for those people who don't know what that is, do you want to just give a quick description?
Yes, and so I use a tool called Lead Pages, and Lead Digits is built into Lead Pages, but think about this because there are several other tools you can do this with. I will tell people to text a code to a number, and as a result of doing so, the system will text them back and ask for their email address. And then it delivers a lead magnet. So when I'm teaching the Facebook Live class, I give people the opportunity to receive a Facebook Live checklist if they text Facebook Live to 33444.
Got it. Okay, perfect. I love it. So it's almost like your own little digital funnel, but you're doing it in person, which is great. And I think that's something that people who are watching this aren't going to be thinking about. And I do a lot of speaking, and quite honestly, I forget to do that. And that's something that I'm going to be starting to do. So I love that tip. That's awesome. Okay, so I want to ask you about how you became, like, if people watch you now and they're like, she's just amazing. She was born to speak. Like, I'm not a speaker. I'm not born to speak. I hate it. Really? Did you become better at speaking, or have you always been just like this amazing? And I hope you say you became better, because then everybody else is going to feel bad.
So let me disclaimer here. I was born this way, and I hate to admit that to people. I am the child who received a check mark and exercised self-control every single quarter. I swear to you, if my college professors could have given me a check mark and exercised self-control, I would have received one. I've always talked too much. Period. Okay. However, it's like the inner Oprah in me. Okay. I took speech classes. I was always the first person to raise my hand to stand up and talk. I've always had something to say. And so being a speaker, it's an ideal fit for me. However, I have gone through Toastmasters. I did enter the humorous speech contest because I've always signified, and some people might call it jonesing, contingent upon where you live. But I can crack dry humor jokes, but I wanted to bring more humor because it is important. And so I love Toastmasters. I take classes here and there. I attend other people's training. So I'm always taking a new class, working on something, especially if one of my mentors say do it, then I'm going to do it.
So how do you find your mentors?
So my first mentor was Frank Williams, and he was the second African-American president of the Chicago Association of Realtors. He just kind of took me under his wing because my entire life, Frank had a magnet in our restaurant. He would come and see my grandfather and bring him a new calendar magnet every single year. And when I went out for the board of directors, I was not selected the first or the second time, and I was personally highly offended. And so I took Frank out, but I got selected the third time. This is what a mentor will do for you. I took Frank out, and he told me everything that I needed to do. Now, Frank is very popular here in Chicago and the state of Illinois, but there was a point where if I wanted a national presence, I had outgrown him in that area. So then I needed to start looking at people who were doing things on a national level. So another gentleman out of the Chicagoland area, his name is Terry Watson. And he's an international speaker. Well, my first real estate transaction was with Terry's mom. So Terry started to take me under his wing. And now, I'm not going to say I have one mentor. I have mentors that are kind of based on the subject matter. And
Mhm.
because people want what I have, and sometimes I want what they have, I call it a equal or fair exchange where, I'm not into people picking my brains. I find it quite annoying because they don't think that they should put anything in. It's always about them taken out. So what I will say happens now is I have a mutual pick your brain dinner or lunch with someone where they're coming with their list of questions. I'm coming with my list of questions, and we both leave feeling fed and not drained of all of our information.
That's awesome. I love that idea. Okay, so before we close out, wanted to know just as far as tactical logistical tips. You mentioned humor, so I think that's in your nature. So do you recommend if you kind of have a light personality, should you let your personality show on stage? Should you use humor? Should you walk the whole stage? I mean, just some basics that people who may be getting out there to their local and regional events so that they can really understand what the audience appreciates in a speaker.
So first of all, I believe everyone should attend Toastmasters. I pick you a club. They run them morning, noon, night, close proximity, far away, and they're not all created equal. And the reason I say that is because, like, I have another little pet peeve. That is paid speakers who walk in front of the projector. Well, if you went to Toastmasters, you would know to blank your screen out, hence the clicker that you're holding in your hand. Duh. And so you want to know, one, how to operate every piece of equipment. You want to make sure that you always bring backup equipment. You do want to include humor. You want to take a PowerPoint class. So Ginger Downs, who's the CEO of the Chicago Association of Realtors, she mandated that all of the instructors at our local association take PowerPoint with her. And I thought I found it to be quite annoying. I'm like, well, why we got to go take PowerPoint with the CEO? Yeah. I would tell you it was one of the best things Ginger has ever done for me. And she even gave us, this is so long ago, I think I got like the 2010 PowerPoint book. Well, you need to have a good PowerPoint game. You need to have a nice presentation.
Right.
And like things like the text to code, I include that in the PowerPoint presentation because I would forget as well. And so all of your instructions and things of that nature include it, and think about less is better as opposed to, these full 3 and 4 paragraphs on one slide. Walk the room. Okay, because if you don't walk the room, the people at the back of the room are going to feel neglected. So I walk the aisles. I'll walk, if I can access, if it's 3 or 4, I will go and walk every last one of them. There's one tip that I have that I don't implement enough that I would encourage everyone to implement. Always repeat the question and clarify it before you answer it, because the people on the other side of the room did not hear the question.
Right. Yes, that's so good. Okay. Oh, I love those tips. That's awesome. I'm going to take away the text tip. So yeah, I think that's awesome. Well, we're just, here for a quick 30 minutes and it's already gone by. And I just want to say thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. I have been wanting to have you on our little snap pack here for, well, probably 8 months. So I finally worked up the courage to send you a snap and ask you to do that. And I know we'll be meeting live and in person in a couple of weeks. So I'm really excited about that. And, if you guys are watching the replay, feel free to put your questions in here and we'll make sure that we address them. So thanks, everybody. And thank you, Marki, so much.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, guys. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.